most people are not aware of both personal and environmental energy levels. There are energies in people and energies in places. And it's very important to understand this, to feel this, to know this, because it helps with knowing yourself and when is the right time to do something. We talked a little bit before about energy and being able to understand energy and recognizing your own energy and your own feelings in certain places. And over the last week, 2 weeks, I have been experimenting a little bit with energy and place and feeling. And we talked a little bit before about how energy can be higher in the morning and lower at lower levels through the day. And I noticed, or I recognized some things that I didn't recognize before. Now, I know that people who understand, people who know and understand, they realize that the position of the sun is very important in relation to where you are, where you live, and how you feel. And what I realized only this week is that when the sun rises, it is directly opposite this house. Directly opposite this house. Like this house is here, and there's a valley and some hills, and the sun rises directly opposite the front of the house. And this is clearly by design. Whoever built this house knew exactly what they were doing. They knew exactly the position of the house and exactly the position of the sun at this time of year. Now, this house is 150 years old, so it's an old house. I mean, there are not many. Well, Banskoby Street is different, right? Because that's an old city. But you can go to many places that many places didn't exist 150 years ago. London was the biggest city in the world 100 years ago. At the beginning of the 20th century, London was the biggest city in the world. And so society has changed a lot. And so in the morning, right there, because that's where the window is, right there, the sun shines directly into the bedroom windows on this side of the house. So it's like you wake up with the sun. It's quite incredible. And so I did a Facebook Live video this morning where I filmed the sun coming up. It was below the horizon, and I filmed it coming up over the horizon, and the light and the energy that was there. And it's quite amazing to experience that in the morning. There's this 5 minutes. There's a 5-minute period where the sun is below the horizon, and then it rises above the horizon. And in language, it's interesting because this word horizon, it comes from two words. Horizon.
Horizon.
Yeah,
Horizon.
Yep. It comes from two words. Horus, the god, and rising. Horus and rising create horizon. Now, it gets more interesting because Horus, Horus, is an anagram of hours, Hours, for time. Horus is an anagram. So whoever created the language understood very well what was happening in the world. This is not by chance. This is not by accident. This is a design. This is a design. The same way that this house was designed to collect the energy of the sun in the morning. Now, this house originally was also a bank. This house originally was a bank. And we know that the bankers, with their money, control society, basically. This is the basis of industry and commerce and trade is controlled by the banks. The banks, the bankers, the Masons, the Masonic cultures. You look on buildings and you see the pyramid shapes. You see the double triangle symbol with a G inside of it, which is the symbol for the generation of energy for Freemasonry. And you can walk through towns in the north of Scotland, and you can see all of the Masonic emblems and symbols on all of the buildings. This is it's historically very powerful and still powerful today, and it's very interesting. Also, Horus was the Egyptian god, or one of the Egyptian gods of one of the Egyptian cults, and Horus was the one-eyed god, the god with one eye. Just symbolism, right? Symbolism. You see this or this, or people now use this to mean other things as well. He was the one eye, and the one eye, the Horus, the one eye it's the sun. That's what it is. The one eye of Horus, the god Horus, that eye is the sun in the sky. And so I was every morning the last 2 weeks I have been watching the sun. I filmed it this morning. I did a little meditation exercise for myself, and then I put it on the internet, and it got 200 views like that instantly. 200 people watched it straight away. It's very interesting. It's very powerful energy. It's very powerful material to do that. Also, this morning was very interesting. No, nobody saw this but me. Also, this morning, before the sun came up, there was one star in the sky. The morning star. There was one star. And it was one of the planets. I'm not exactly sure which one. I think maybe Venus. I'm not sure. I'm not an expert on all that celestial information. There was one star in the sky. And just nothing there. The sky was blue, but there was one star in the sky, shining bright. And I thought it was very interesting because it's my daughter's birthday today.
Yes.
It's my
Congratulations.
It's Zora's birthday today. So she is 6, and I was looking at this star in the sky, and I was thinking that it's for her. This star is
Nice.
a special star today, and it was right in front of her window in her bedroom. She sleeps up there somewhere on the second floor. She has a bedroom window, and outside the window was this little star there above the window. It was very nice moment. And so there's a lot of there's a lot of energy in light, and it's all very interesting. And I'm not sure why I'm talking about that, because I'm not sure why. Oh, the energy thing. The places have energy, and recently I have been able to feel the energy in a place. And the energy comes from the people, right? The energy's coming. You could say maybe it comes from somewhere else, but it's visible in the people. You see how people act, how people react, and you were talking about how this lady who was, I presume it was a lady, I don't know, who was the cleaner, she saw that the activities of the group were different, the children were different, the feelings were different, the energy was different, the emotion was different. And it's important to understand that. A lot of people don't understand that, and because my job is working with people, I see that in people. And this whole last week of my experiences working with people and being in places, so many people have no energy. They have no energy. And I don't know why this is, because I don't know these people. I can guess why it is. I have ideas why it is. There's so many people have no energy. They just don't put anything into what they do. I was at a play center with my children this afternoon, and my children were playing and doing different activities, and the people working there, they were like zombies. No energy. Nobody smiled. Nobody smiled the whole time. Nobody smiled. And a smile makes a big difference, right? Because people smile when they're happy. And nobody smiled. It was like everybody was something like a robot or something like that. And the children had energy, but the parents, they didn't have any energy at all. And I see a lot of that. Obviously, not everybody is like that. Obviously, the people are different. But I see a lot of that. And it's important to realize that the energy that you put into something is the energy that gives life to the world around about you. The attention, the feelings, the emotions that you put into what you do, it's that gives life to everything. And if you don't put something in, nothing will come back. Nothing will come back at all. And that's it's so important, because it makes a difference in people's quality of life. And if you're not aware of it, then you have the problems like what you described earlier, people becoming angry because they don't have the self-awareness to regulate or understand their own emotions. And I think a lot of that comes from the world around about us. It comes from the environment to people. And people don't know how to deal with it. They're not aware of it. And being here, I see, there's a very strong connection with nature here, because there's the trees and the wildlife and the sea and the mountains and everything all together. And it's very interesting to see all of that. And people need to understand that their energy level is very important. You have to not just put energy in, but you have to feed yourself with the right kinds of energy, the right kind of light, the right kind of information. The part of the eye that opens to let light into the eye, that part of the eye has a name. It's called the pupil. The pupil. And pupil is another word for student. Yeah. Pupil is another word for student. And it is the pupil that lets the light into the eye, and the light is the information. All information that comes into the brain through the eye is light information. It's all based on light. And it's interesting that in school we have pupils. The children who go to school are called pupils. And pupil is also what allows the light and information into the brain at the same time. So even in schools, we understand that we use the word pupil because the pupil is the point of access to information through light. And all of this language, all of this is there in the language, and people don't realize it. They don't think about it very much. But you need to put the right kind of energy into what you do.